Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope they're fantastic. Everything here is great. The podcast is back, I think. I'm not really sure. I just learned that YouTube now supports podcasts. And so I have enabled it for this show. If you go to my channel page, you'll see a podcast tab. You can go there and there's the Daily Shed podcast. I turned it on, added a logo and a blurb, and I only uploaded from episode 1500 and on. So it's just the last few years. For a couple reasons. For what I understand, or I don't know, maybe you guys can help me figure this out together. I don't know what this is. Like, it's not really a podcast. I can't find it on my podcast app, so it's not. I don't have like a add this podcast. Like, the link that I get is just a YouTube link to a playlist, which is already a thing. And really, this podcast thing is just a playlist that you add videos to. So, part of the reason I've only added the last few years is because in the past, I don't know if this is still true, but in the past, playlists were capped at like 500 videos or something like that. So I don't want to run out of headroom, and then suddenly there's no more daily shit. There's no room for new videos in the podcast. I'm also uncertain as to how you would get it in your podcast player. I don't know how that works. It says that it's coming to YouTube Music, which I actually use, and I've been very much enjoying it. For more than a year now, I have been using YouTube Music, and I very much enjoy it. It works really well for me. So I guess that YouTube Music has podcasts, to me, the idea of a podcast is it's kind of platform independent. You can use, whatever podcast player, find your feed, and you've got it. I don't know how that works. When I go look at the feed, it's just a YouTube link to a normal playlist. So I haven't figured out how to add it to my player, and maybe that's just not something that's available yet. Like it's coming. But I've been wanting to do the dual format again for a while now. I think that this content is very well suited to listening. Like I don't show a whole lot on camera. I used to, but if we go way back, when I was doing the podcast, there was quite a few episodes where I would narrate for the listener because it was like, I'm showing you something. I don't do a whole lot of that anymore. I mean, recently I've put some pictures in to kind of help illustrate points. And there are going to be episodes, specifically where I'm talking about workshop stuff and I'm trying to show you something around that's not going to come through in the audio. And I think that's okay. Like, to me, this isn't. If you have come to this channel and watched these videos, or you're now listening to these videos because you found me through the podcast, this is not high quality content. I'm not putting in a ton of effort. I have put in a decent amount of effort to my audio setup. I've put in a decent amount of effort for my camera and lighting setup, but this is not high quality curated content. I'm not writing scripts. I'm not, this isn't groundbreaking material here. This is just some dude, some middle-aged man talking about his life and the things that he's learned. And, that's all it's ever going to be. So if you're on the podcast and you hear something like, what the hell is he talking about? Sorry. I mean, I guess hopefully the video description becomes like what do they call it? On my podcast player, it's called show notes. Hopefully the video description becomes the show notes, because if I'm talking about tools or I'm talking about whatever, I will put links in there. If I'm talking about somebody else's content here on YouTube or wherever, I put links in. So hopefully there will at least be some sort of context in you. And maybe there for a while I was really lax about putting anything in the description just because nobody clicks on that thing. Like, it's not who cares? Whatever I type there just seems to get lost, so I didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. I'll work again to put more effort into it, and I suppose that it wouldn't be too much of a challenge for me if I show a picture in a video. I've probably taken it with my phone, which means it's in my Google Cloud, which means I can link to it in the video description. So for anybody who's listening, they can see the images through their player. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. I've been wanting to do it for a while. Like I said, I think that this is a good format for audio, and I think that I can reach more people because, the car listener who's driving to work every day or whatever can have, the most recent episodes. But it was a lot of effort to do this split format, and it got in the way. And it wasn't, I was getting like 10 listeners, which now, if I could retain the 30 viewers who watch all the videos, and I could add 10 listeners, that'd be great. Excellent. Amazing. That would be fantastic. At that time, 10 listeners was like, it's too much work for 10 people. So I probably should have been doing this. And I had thought about re-announcing at episode 1700, like we're bringing back the podcast and it's live, but I didn't. And then I got excited to find out that this thing is happening. So hopefully, in the not too distant future, it will be dual format again. You'll be able to find me on your podcast player. You'll be able to do all that thing. If anybody has further information, please let me know, because I'm just as in the dark about this as anybody else is right now. I went and searched and discovered that, like, there's some articles. The podcast tab is showing up in YouTube Music. I haven't seen that yet. Oh, there it is, podcast. Look at that. So apparently that's a thing. I don't know. Try and find it in your player. Go to my channel and see if you can use that link to sign up for it in your podcast player. I mean, obviously that's going to help me out. Like I'm not trying to beg you to become a podcast listener. I'm trying to beg you to see how this whole thing works, because if it's not going to be worth my time to do it the YouTube, I was hoping there was an easy YouTube way, because I do want to do the dual format. I just haven't, because I got lazy. But if it's worth my time to, if I need to go back to doing the dual format because this YouTube thing doesn't work out, we'll do that. But if you have any insight, please let me know. Yeah. What do you got going on this weekend? Anything exciting? We have softball again tonight. It's going to be a late night, cold night. And then tomorrow is my father's birthday, so we're going to have a little birthday celebration for him. So it's kind of a little bit of a busy weekend for me. I'm definitely not going to be able to finish the workbench this weekend, but I'm hoping to get the base completed. Yeah, and then move on from there, which means that maybe next week this table will go away. I don't have the kids next week, so I don't have the kids next week, but we still have a lot of softball. So hopefully I'll have some evenings where I can work to get rid of this table. But let me know what you got going on. And let me know what you figure out about the podcast thing. I appreciate the assistance. Thank you for being here, as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is quagmire. It is a noun meaning a thorny problem for which there is no ready solution, a messy situation from which there is no expeditious means of escape. Your home is regarded as a model home, your life as a model life, but all this splendor, and you along with it, it is just as though it were built upon a shifting quagmire. Henrik Ibsen, Norwegian playwright. Quagmire, Quagmire. I thought that was a geographic term. Is it not a geographic term? I thought there was like a kind of swamp as a quagmire. Is that a thing? Or am I crazy?